This began as an idea. It became a dream, and you are the reality of this dream. We will have a fabulous adventure. We're going to have a fabulous time. Nobody has ever done this before. You are the makers of adventure history. You are.
Nigel stood up and proclaimed, "You are my dream come true. This team will go to Everest and be the first Everest Skydive."
We probably spent $35,000, $40,000 because you, on top of what it costs for this trip, you have to pay for airfare, the training, and everything that you need to do to prepare to come on this. We were extremely excited about it, and we have planned for this trip for 12 months, 11 months before we came out here.
So we just wanted you to...
It was sold to me as a skydiving adventure. I looked at it very much like I was going to test myself as to what I could actually achieve by going up at 29,000 feet.
When we arrived at the Yak and Yeti Hotel, they didn't have a reservation. It started to feel like there's something wrong with this trip. Somebody does not have their act together on this. So the next day, we start on our trek, we get out here, we're walking and walking for days.
How are you this morning?
Doing great. Let's go hiking. Let's go trekking. It wasn't just Skydive Everest, it was extreme trekking environment, cold hotel rooms, and marginal food.
So how are you coping with the first class accommodation?
Are you kidding? Is that a joke? You're kidding, right?
Yeah, it was today.
Okay. I'm like, I think it's fifth class. So we get up to Fairshea. People have gotten sick, whether it's been food poisoning or whether it has been just altitude sickness.
People started to question, why are we doing this? Why are we trekking for all these days? It doesn't make sense. That's when we knew there was something very, very wrong going on.
If you pan round, you may see Everest approximately 20 miles in that direction. However, if you look at the brochure, we all paid for, with a non-refundable deposit, Skydive over Everest, fall past the rock faces of Everest. It's now being called Scamdive Everest. Everybody here is completely pissed off with your attitude, with the DS attitude, okay, with the things you've promised and the things you haven't delivered, okay? You need to get in there and you need to ask these people to tell you the truth.
Okay, well,
okay?
we're going to have a meeting.
Well, you should have had plenty of meetings before, okay? This is bloody appalling. And somebody with your background to run something like this, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, I'm sorry you feel like that, Chris.
Well, it's not just me, okay? It's not just me. Don't just focus on me. Look at all these people here, okay? Sit down and talk to them and they'll tell you what a complete debacle this thing has been from start to finish, okay? You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. You're taking money under false pretenses, it's disorganised, there's no communication, it's unprofessional, and the arrogance of it is beyond bloody belief. Basically, I was explaining the dissatisfaction of the group. It's very sad that at the end of what's supposed to be an adventure that people have paid a lot of money for and look forward to for a long period of time has turned into a complete mismanaged debacle.
This is the first time
anyone
has ever tried to do this.
Don't give me the first time, because if this is the best effort you can do for a first time, then again you should be ashamed of yourself.
I can't control the weather.
I'm not interested in the weather, I'm talking about right from the beginning, okay, with communications with High and Wild. And also what you sold me. You didn't say, this isn't what I bought. Where's the helicopter? Where's all the other things that were on this list that you charged me? This has cost me 20k. And what have I got for 20k? I got sore feet, a bloody lung infection, and a completely pissed off bunch of people. We've paid you a shed load of cash, and for that we've got a load of rubbish.
Nigel, that owns this company, could care less who we are. He only cared about 2 or 3 people in the group who were doing advertising of their own to get recognition from this trip.
Oh, thank you very much, Nigel. Thank you so much.
As project director of Everest Skydive.
Yes.
And as managing director of High and Wild. That was fantastic. Well done.
Fantastic, well done. Man. Fantastic.
The first that was selected to go as a tandem was Per Wimmer. I asked Nigel later, how is it that Per was selected for the #1 spot?
It goes very good.
Well, Ron, We did that based on our ability to see who was going to be comfortable jumping out of the plane first, because we didn't want them to get to the door and freeze up.
And we're making world history today. First tandem ever to 9,500 feet from above Everest.
It was very, very obvious that pair had been chosen long ago to be number one.
You get no sense of how they even care about the other people that have taken the time to come on this trip. High and Wild is probably one of the most unprofessional companies I've ever dealt with.
Nigel,
No
week
information.
one, you had 36 people. You go round 36 people and not one of them is happy. And they're all getting more and more and more angry.
Nigel is so arrogant, and he's not only is he arrogant, but he's ignorant as well, because he doesn't listen to the clients, the paying customers.
I'm sorry that you feel that.
But that's all you say. Nigel, that's all you say. You say, I'm sorry,
talk
but
to
you
them.
don't do anything about
Discipline
it.
them.
We have people screaming at Nigel, screaming at him, calling him every name in the book. Well, Nigel stands there and smiles politely and says, well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry that you feel like that, John, because
And you realize this is a first ever and we're learning as we go along. Well, it's learning and lying are two different things.
When I put my money down for this, there were 4 jump planes. That's why I could make a decision on investing in it, because there was redundancy.
There was going to be lots of
Nobody
spare
ever told me
sheets.
there weren't going to be spare. There was going to be no.
we did tell you actually that the MI-17 wasn't here anymore. Yeah, we did tell you that because but
You told me you had all my money, didn't you?
What's the latest controversy?
Oh, this, it's supposed to be a fast turnaround today, and look, this has been another 45-minute, hour turnaround. It's just another under-resourced.
Joke of an operation. I'd call it a joke of an operation. There is no way you could ever get me to pay and do this ever again, nor would I ever recommend somebody coming to this. It's probably the most unorganized group of people I've ever met, unprofessional.
Where do we go?
Well, I'll tell you what, where do we? I want to get out of here because you are not providing what I've paid for. Okay, my skydive over Everest. Okay, this is not what I paid for.
let's make it quite clear. Nobody ever was told they would skydive over Everest.
That's what the banner said. The list you provided with the money that you wanted, the list is eroded, and the money's still the same. Okay, and the whole thing has been a complete debacle. And for a group of people to be at this stage of an adventure and be in such a rebellious, mutinous mood can only be attributed to your poor management.
Right. Anyone else?
The drop zone was completely enveloped in fog. The pilot was told, hold for another 15 minutes before they dive, and he informed them they're already gone. 2 of them made it back to the drop zone, the very experienced and the less experienced. One landed in a field, the other one landed in a tree and boulder environment where her leg was shattered.
One of the jumpers has landed off the drop zone. We had everything ready for such an incident like this. She may have a lower leg injury and she landed quite hard on her bum. So she's probably going to have a sore bum.
She lay there for hours. They tried to put her into a helicopter. She would not fit. And they finally decided to put her in the jump plane and fly her to the hospital. If this had been something that happens all the time, why were they scrambling to find a way to get this girl on a stretcher down to the hospital?
People do sometimes have a difficult landing and an injury happens. But this is no different to being anywhere else in the world parachuting.
If this happens all the time, you've made every provision that you know they'll be needed if there's an accident. That was not the truth. That was a photo op moment for Nigel to cover the mistake of how they did not coordinate or organize the proper evacuation for an injured diver.
Any questions?
When you get down to safety and evacuation, it was a miracle that this girl survived.
Commercial interest, safety and what is needed for safety is paramount. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that it has
everything has to be completely over the top. I've run my company now for 8 years. Touch wood, I have never, ever had an injury.
Well, this will be your first. This will be your first. You will have an injury on this trip. There you go, I've said it on camera. You will have an injury on this trip. And you saying you don't think you need to go over the top on safety, I think on the first one you should do.
We don't need, for example, a surgery on the drop zone.
If you're in charge of this and you say you've been planning for 2 years to make this happen, then you have lost every excuse as to why this planning didn't include an evacuation plan for an injured diver, because they could not get her out of here on anything but our jump plane. Nigel has buried himself as a credible man with me. And what really disturbed me the most, I donated $200,000 US to a orphanage in Kathmandu. And Nigel came to me and said, "You can trust me. I'm going to be your eyes and ears on that money." And I thought, if you can't be any more transparent than to tell 3 different stories and hold back the information that you've been holding back, how can I trust you?
Yeah.
Great.
Fantastic.
You have Nigel walking around with this big smile on his face, running up to people and proclaiming what a great success this is for the media. And nothing could be farther from the truth.
How bad is this on the scale of experiences?
Non-recoverable. Non-recoverable. To me, Nigel cannot be trusted. He can't be trusted.